Yalla, in English, please.
Empezamos. Kissy, yesterday we discussed, start recording, Eric.
It is.
Okay, so yesterday we discussed something which is fairly new, and with a bit of patience, we'll be able to understand it better and better. What we said yesterday is something very important, and that is that the woman that you marry, her whole ruhniyut, her whole nefesh ruach neshama is really inside your nefesh, which means that the woman, since the nefesh is the mekor of the money, the nefesh is the mekor of the wealth, so it means that the whole of the woman is basically a money-making machine, because she is all nefesh. And she needs your supply, means the Torah, the Or, the Mishpat we learn, when we'll see what that means. You feed your wife with Mishpat, and she turns that into money. Now we'll see it, we'll understand what this Mishpat is, and how this Mishpat negates the terrible midah of anger. Because when you have Mishpat, anger is not in your vocabulary. Now, let's take it a step further. We're going to learn today that a woman is like a tree, and the man is like the shoresh of the tree. It's a mashal. This is what Rabbeinu introduces. And the children and the wealth come from the branches. Well, was the branches are the ones that produce, or at least visibly, the fruits, because they hang from the branches. Obviously, everything comes from the root. We're not going to discuss the man so much, because the man in himself also gets from above, and he's connected to a root, which is obviously Hashem Yitbarach, through the levels of his soul, of the nefesh, ruach haya, nefesh, ruach, neshama haya yechida, until he connects with Hashem directly. So a man is a light-producing machine, and the woman is a money-producing machine, which means that just like if you take in the garden and you plant a tree, the tree will grow and the tree will produce beautiful leaves and fruit. So the man is making his wife grow. In other words, a man, and only a man, only the husband, has the ability to cultivate his wife so that his wife can help him by giving him the fruits of his work. But without a woman, a man has nothing, because he doesn't have that ability. It's only the woman that has that ability to produce money, children, the fruits, and a true understanding of the Torah. Now, for that we said yesterday, this is very important, has to be Kiddushin. Kiddushin means that it has to come from Kedusha. The Hida, and all the Mefarshim say the same thing. The Hida says that if a couple doesn't keep Taharat Mishpacha, Mikveh, Taharat Mishpacha, doesn't keep Shabbat, a couple doesn't keep, is not Kovea Itim La Torah, not to mention doing Averot, like outright Averot, like stealing, and so on and so forth. So then this relationship doesn't exist. What am I talking about? I'm talking about that the wife and the husband can communicate at this level, where the man obviously is going to show respect to his wife by not abusing of her, not using her as an object. There are times when his wife will be like a sister. There are times when the wife will be his wife. But their love is going to be very deep. There is not going to be any anger. The woman is not going to feel anger as people that goyim and people that don't keep tarat mishpacha. There's a lot of anger in the woman because she feels she's being ill-treated, used for things that she's not really interested in doing. That causes a lot of anger. That causes also a lot of oppression. So the woman is afraid to talk to the husband because she feels intimidated. She feels that she doesn't have a platform through which to communicate with the husband. That type of a marriage does not work. This that we're learning today is only when there is a marriage in Kedusha, that the husband and wife can communicate and produce a life of Torah, a life of a fruitful life, a life of not just benefiting themselves, but helping Klal Israel. Now, this is what we said yesterday. This is very important. It is very important that a husband should come to an understanding and realize that when he is behaving the way the Torah, the halakha, demands of him, and he understands the pnimiyut of that behavior, obviously you have to be mitchashev with your wife. You have to have derech eretz. That's the fifth chelek of the Shulchan Aruch, common sense. There's four. The fifth is common sense. That's not written. But if a husband treats his wife properly, respects her, and so on and so forth, so he can cultivate this tree because he's the root. Through him, his wife will grow and she will come to help him. Unfortunately, you see the opposite. The fashion today is to the opposite. Treat them mean, keep them keen. In other words, if you treat your wife not nicely, so then you're going to be able to do what you want, or so you think, and she's going to do what you want. That's a very, very big mistake. And that is completely contrary to the hashkafa of the Torah. The hashkafa of the Torah is that if you cultivate this tree, this wife of yours, which is all light, it's a tree that can produce fruits, that can help you to understand the Torah. As it says in the Torah, Lo tov yota adam levado, ha'aseh lo ezer kenegdo. So the woman instinctively feels this. Instinctively feels what? That if the husband doesn't behave properly, so she's going to have to pay the price. In other words, she is not going to be a fruitful tree. She's not going to be able to feel useful in the marriage in bringing down that for which she was made. That is to help her husband to learn Torah, to teach her children Torah, and to help others less fortunate to be able to get close to Hashem. Now, I'm going to take it further now. I'm going to go now to the Likutey Moharan. The Likutey Moharan left us yesterday with the fact, it's a well-known fact, that the feet of a man are his parnasah. So he's going to bring you another proof. Yesterday we said the raglin is the wife. Now he's going to tell you that the raglin is also the parnasah, to teach you that the parnasah comes through the wife. Now it says, you know the story of Korah. Korah went against Moshe Rabbeinu. He rebelled, as a result of which he was punished, even though Moshe Rabbeinu tried everything that he could that he should make tshuva, and he didn't make tshuva. So him, Korah, v'kol adato, was swallowed up le'al me'ad. That was their punishment. So the pasuk says over there, I take it from the Likutey Moharan, ואת כל היקום אשר ברגליהם. קורח, עדתו, וכל היקום אשר ברגליהם. It uses the lashon of yekum is, you'll see what the Gemara says about that. I'm going to tell you outside and I'm going to read it inside in the Gemara. That is, all the possessions that they had was swallowed up with them also. They left nothing, not even a pruta. Everything was swallowed up with them, all their possessions. So now the Gemara says over there, like this, ואת כל היקום אשר ברגליהם, חז"ל מסבירים שהביטוי יקום, why do you say יקום? וכל היקום, ואת העושר, all their riches, what's יקום? What's this word יקום? So the Gemara says, מפני שהממון מקים ומעמיד את האדם. Because the money is what makes a person stand upright with his head up high. That's what we say, zokef kefufim. You woke up, you want to walk up, komemiyut. You want to walk up with your head up high. What does that? Your parnasa, your mamon. That's why it's called vet kol hayekum asher beraglehem. So you see from here, she'hamamon kashur la raglayim. Just like the wife is the raglim, the feet, because the woman is going to help you to get to what you should get to. What's the most important thing Hashem can give you is a good wife. A good wife is no price. So it says here, so too the parnasa, because the wife is also going to bring with her the parnasa, so you can achieve what you should achieve in this world. So when you go to the olam ha'emet, you can be nehene le'al me'ad. That's what it says. Aikara mamon, hu bibhinat nefesh. That's what Rabbeinu says over here. Bibhinat nekiba, bibhinat raglim. Now we're going to go on a little bit. It's a new subject. It's not an easy subject because we're not familiar with it, but with the help of Hashem, slowly we'll get a deeper understanding and sharpen the whole Torah. Now, זה שאמרו רבותינו, this is what the Chachamim says, זיכרונם לברכה, השרוי בלי אישה, a person that does not have a woman, doesn't have a wife, שרוי בלא חומה. In other words, that's Rabbeinu is basing this Torah we saw in Kriyat Yam Suf, Choma and Hema, by the Kriyat Yam Suf, and we explained that. So Rabbeinu also bases his Torah on this, that it says, that a man that doesn't have a wife, doesn't have a protection, doesn't have a homa, doesn't have a home. It's funny that it's home, homa. Hainu belo mamon. So I'm going to quote the whole Gemara. It's a Gemara in Masechet Yevamot. The Gemara in Masechet Yevamot, Daf Samech Bet Amud Bet. I'm going to quote it and translate it. Kol adam she'en lo isha sharui belo simcha. If a person doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have simcha. Belo beracha, belo tova. He doesn't have a bracha in the home. He doesn't have anything good in his life. Belo Torah, cannot understand Torah. Belo homa, and he doesn't have a protection. What is the protection according to Rabbi Nachman? Parnasa. He doesn't have parnasa. Now the Gemara there in the Pshat, really, if you look at the Pshat, the Maharsha, and the Mefarshim of the Ein Yaakov, which is the explanation of the Agadata in the Shas, it tells you that the Homa is really talking about that it's the woman will save you from looking at other women and being aware on Gilui Arayot. That's the Pshat. That if you have a woman, so you have what they call Pat Besalo. You have food in your basket, so you don't need to think about doing Averot. Because you can have all the fun you want. You don't have a problem at home, anytime you want. Baruch Hashem. But Rabbeinu says, not like that. Rabbeinu adds, Rabbeinu says, Homa, because a woman is not just to save you from sin. A woman is much more than that. A woman brings you parnasa so that you can become a great Talmid Chacham. It's a dig. Let's go on. Ki Homa hi bechinat mamon. The Homa, according to Rabbeinu, is not just a protection. It's also Mammon, so that you can not just feel protected. You know, everybody will tell you that the best form of defense is offense. The Gemara talks about defense. You won't do averot. You won't be aver on Gilui Arayot. Rabbeinu explains deeper. Rabbeinu says, no. You go on the offense. She will bring you money so you can attack the Yetzirah, so you can learn Torah, not defend. Offend. So you can bring other people closer to Hashem. That's what a woman will do for you. Truth of it be said, the pshat in the Gemara is like that. You don't have bracha, you don't have tova, you don't have Torah, you don't have health, you don't have money, you don't have anything. Really, it goes with what Rabbeinu says, the pshat in the Gemara. Let's go on. כי חומה היא בחינת הממון כמו שכתוב, in Mishle, Shlomo HaMelech said, הון עשיר קריית עוזו וכחומה נשגבה. It says, what is the strength of a rich man? Is the protection that money affords him. Choma nishgava means when you're building walls to the city, so the higher, the more protection you have. So the more parnasa you have. Obviously, we're talking about parnasa that comes from kedusha. We're not talking about stealing. We're not talking about a parnasa that comes at the expense of not learning Torah. That's also not kosher money. A person has to make, like it says, his parnasat arayit and his Torah keva. The ikar of the day should be learning Torah, not running after money. Because if you do that, that parnasa doesn't come from kedusha. It won't bring you a bracha. So we're talking about that. Let's not forget that. And we'll see in a Betzura Geonit, the example that Rabbeinu is going to bring us from Haman, who was also very rich and had a lot of children. He's going to, with a beautiful twist, he's going to explain something very important. Now, let's go on in the text. That's why our Chachamim in Masechet Baba Metziah, in Daf Nuntet, Amud Aleph said, Okiru lenashaychu, means take care, appreciate, treat nicely your wives. Buy them presents, make sure they're happy. Okiru lenashaychu, ki heichen tetatu, so that you become rich. Now I'm going to read you the Gemara over there, the whole Ma'amar, so that you understand it even better. Le'olam, it says, a man should always, Yehe Adam Zahir Bichvod Ishto. A person has to make sure he respects his wife. As soon as she comes into the room, you should always, in front of others especially, show her a tremendous amount of respect. Never contradict your wife. All the things that we know shows respect. If you want to become rich, a man should always respect his wife, show respect. שאין ברכה מצויה בתוך ביתו של אדם, אלא בשביל אשתו. You won't have any bracha in your house unless your wife is treated nicely. So you owe her. והיינו דאמר להו רבא לבני מחוזה, and this is what Rabbah told the people of Mahuza, Okiru lenashaychu yehei titateru. In other words, respect your wife so that you become rich. That's the Ma'amar. In the Tikkun Zohar, it also explains the same thing with a different twist. In the Tikkun Zohar, it says, in the Tikkun Ayin, if you look at Tikkun Ayin, it says like this. They quote what Rabbah says, but it adds a little thing, a little addition. He says like this. Since a woman is gevurot, kabbalah. Since a woman is gevurot, and we know that the gevurot is in the tzafon, we said, the Navi always says, metzafon tifatah hara. Always, whenever the bad is going to come to Am Israel in pre-Messianic times and so on and so forth, it comes from the tzafon. What's in the tzafon? We said that the shulchan is in the tzafon. So whoever wants to become rich should daven, should pray towards the tzafon, towards the shulchan, so he can have parnasah. And we said, whoever wants to become a Chacham should pray towards the south. What's in the south? In the Beit HaMikdash, the menorah, the light. That's what the Tikkunei Zohar says. The woman, just like the Parnasah and the Nefesh, is in the Tzafon, the place of wealth. So therefore, also he quotes, the Tikkunei Zohar quotes in Iyov, it says, Mitzafon zahav yete. From the Tzafon comes the gold. So this is the whole idea of respecting your wife, because your wife is the source of all your wealth, all well-being, all your Torah. V'chol adam, going back to the text, v'chol adam ve'adam ka'asher hu ba la'olam. And whenever a person comes to this world, it's a very famous Gemara, I'm sure you all know, but we'll still learn it. Hu ba im bat zugo ameyuchedet lo. You know that before a person is born, 40 days, there's an achraza in Shamayim. What do they say? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, I'm going to quote you the whole Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Rav, 40 yom kodem yetzirat havlad, bat kol yotzet ve'omeret, bat ploni leploni. That's a Gemara in Masechet Sotah Daf Bet. They say in Shamayim, bat ploni, the daughter of fulano, ploni is like fulano, of ploni is for ploni, is for this guy. So in other words, your wife, don't think it's an accident. You married your zivug. That's why Rabbeinu says, bat zugo, your other half. So, Hazal also learned in Masechet Nida, there's another Gemara that he doesn't quote Rabbeinu, but I'm going to read it to you. There's a Masechet Nida, Daf Tet Zayin Amud Bet. Oto malach hamemune al ha'hirayon Laila Shemo. The malach that's memune on the hirayon, on the pregnancy, is called Laila. What does he do? Venotel tipa uma'amida lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He takes the tipa of the zera and he goes in front of Hashem and he tells him, Hashem, Ribono shel olam, tipa zo ma tehe aleha. What's going to be of this person when he's born? Gibor or halash? Is he going to be strong? Is he going to be weak? Chacham or pesh? Is he going to be chacham or tipesh? Ashir or ani? In other words, rich or poor, everything is predestined except for one thing, Yirat Shamayim. Ve'ilu rasha or tzaddik, lo ke'amar, the Gemara says. The Malach doesn't ask Hashem that. Hakol bidei Shamayim, chutz me'irat Shamayim. So what Rabbeinu wants to tell you by telling you that your wife that you have, it's from Hashem Barach. And we say, Sheker Achen, Vehevel Hayofi, Isha Yirat Hashem, Ititalah. All the shtuyot, all the beauty, the physical beauty, all the cuteness and all that, the waste of time. The Ikar is a woman that has Yirat Shamayim, a woman that has Seni'ut, modest, a woman that doesn't attract other things, other people to look at her or look at anything else. A woman that helps her husband to grow in Torah. So all of that is up to you. How do you treat your wife? It all depends on you. Are you going to be able to extract from her Yirat Shamayim or no? Hashem gives you a wife. Everything else is in your mazal. You cannot change it. But the only thing you can change, it's up to you. How successful are you going to be in the business of life? Are you going to extract from her Torah and Yirat Shamayim, in which case you will have Parnasah? Beyond what was Kavua is predestined, Ashir or Ani. This goes over that. En Mazal Israel. What's the key to that? How do you treat your wife? How do you behave? How much Torah do you learn? How much do you transmit to your wife? How much or? How much life do you give your wife? How much do you help her to take her out of a klipot so that the woman can enjoy living in her home and feeling safe and protected. The reward for you will be that she will look after you. She will protect you. She will be your homa. Now let's go on. Back to the text. וכמה פירות היינו בנים שיהיו בזה העולם. Also too, in Shamayim, it's predestined how many children you're going to have in this world. והם בחינת אילן בענפים ופירות. And Rabbeinu says, as I already mentioned, that you are the shoresh, the woman, your wife, is the tree, and the anafim are the parnasah and the children. Now, here Rabbi Nachman, he adds, makes a he'ara here, and this is very important. Torah is light. Torah is light. We're going to learn this because this is a set, as I already told you. We learn Samehet, 68. We're learning 69. But then we have to go back and learn Nuntet. In Nuntet, Rabbeinu will complete the whole picture over here. But suffice it to say that the riches that a woman needs, she doesn't need money because she is the source of money. She is the source of all the riches, a woman. What a woman needs, the currency that they need is light, is Torah, is Emet. But that seems simple. You say, well, what's the problem? You open a Sefer and you learn Torah, but it's not enough. That's not exactly what a woman needs. What a woman needs is mishpat. That's what Rabbeinu says, mishpat. So I'm going to read, I'm not going to give you the whole picture because that we're going to learn much later, Be'ezrat Hashem, in Torah Nuntet. But so that to put you in the picture, we have something in the Torah called vidui, which is very important. You should do that before you go to sleep. You should do that twice during the day if you can. Shahrit and Minha. If you do Tikkun Hatzot, you should do it again. You'll see if you are pikeach, that a woman doesn't like you to judge anybody. If you start talking about others, you're going to see your wife is going to feel very uncomfortable. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that whenever you judge somebody else, you're really judging yourself. You're doing yourself harm. Because Hashem doesn't judge anybody. Hashem doesn't judge anybody. Hashem, He puts you in a situation where there's a parallel case to your case. And you're going to judge that person if you're stupid enough. You're going to be judging yourself. So a woman knows and tries to avoid looking at other homes. Your wife is going to be a lot happier. What would you do if you were in a situation like that? Wouldn't you be the same? Don't be so negative. Because she knows that you're not doing the right thing. A woman really is the key to really understanding the Torah. It's like if you have a car and you see the car, it doesn't accelerate as good as it did, or not because it doesn't have fuel, it's full. Water's fine, the level, the brakes, they don't break. So what do? You take it to the garage. What is the garage? Your wife. Your wife is going to tell you exactly what's wrong with you. The wife is a mirror where you can see yourself the way you really are. Again, I repeat, if there's kiddushin, if it's in a marriage where there's Free communication, not where the wife is being suppressed or used like an object, and the woman is afraid, and every time she speaks, there's a big fight because you try to suppress her or the children because you're scared to hear the truth. It has to be a marriage of Kedusha, where we're all working together to see the truth and get close to Hashem. Now that's one important thing. That's called mishpat, to be just. Path of the just. Mesilat Yesharim, that's mishpat. Second aspect of mishpat, I'm going to read you what Rabbi Nachman says. HaMishpat kashur to the vidui and the hitbodedut. That a person should be fair. A person does something wrong, he should say hatati l'Hashem. Not lie, not make excuses. You admit what you've done wrong. מפני שמי שעורך את חשבון מעשיו ופונה להשם בבקשת צורכיו, עוסק למעשה בחריסת משפט ובחיפוש צדק. When a person doesn't waste his time talking Lashon Hara and giving Ayin Hara to others, and he doesn't even waste his time with extra hishtadlut, making honey food to people, wasting time, and you pray to Hashem seriously for all your needs, that's an aspect of mishpat. It means you have your priorities right. You are a serious person. And at the end of the day, or sometimes even in the middle of the day, whenever you feel there's something that you've done that's not quite right, you've embarrassed somebody, you've done something which is not right, you've wasted time, you haven't learned Torah, whatever it is. הוא שופט ובוחן את עצמו ואת מצבו. You go and you say, look, I'm going to take a piece of paper, I'm going to write, I did this, that's wrong, tonight I'm going to ask Hashem for forgiveness, or if I embarrass somebody, I'm going to eat my pride. I'm going to say, look, I'm very sorry, I'm in a bad mood, I'm going through a difficult thing, not that I have an excuse, but please, what can I do for you to make it up to you? In other words, you don't let anything pass. Whatever you don't want people to do to you, you know it's wrong, so you don't do it to anybody. That's called mishpat. Now, it says, Mahu seder adifuyot sheli. If you analyze, do I have my priorities right? It's very important to have your priorities right. What is it that I have to fix? Now, a person that does that every day and does something about that, so his Torah is not just an intellectual exercise. He's learned the Daf of Gemara, or he's learned the Shiur in Likutey Moharan. He goes and he becomes a better person. That's called mishpat. I mean, taking your life seriously. This is what gives light to the woman. This is what the woman makes into money. If a person is not sincere and honest, his wife cannot help him. The only way that she can help him is by fighting and arguing with him. But she won't help him. Person will not succeed. In other words, in the Torah it says, Modeh ve'ozev yeruham. If a person admits he's done something wrong, and he says, I'm not going to do it, I pray Hashem, please, help me. I have a weakness. Help me not to do this. Hashem forgives you. Unlike everything else. Because if you go to a court and he says, look, I got a speeding ticket, and the judge says, did you do it? Says, so you have to pay. I'm sorry, you're very honest, but you have to pay. You're admitting. The Torah is not like that. The Torah is the opposite. When you make vidui, when you ask Hashem for forgiveness for what you've done that's wrong, and you say, Hashem, please help me. I take it upon myself. I'm not going to do it again, and I'm really feel bad about that. And you do that 24/7, your whole life, like that. That is the true Torah that your wife wants. Because she knows that if you don't do that, you're doing her harm. You're causing her harm. She can feel it. You cannot feel it. She feels the harm. She's suffering because you're not a woman. A woman knows the harm. And a person has to pay the price for that. In this world, the price is not big. It doesn't have a parnasa. In the olam ha'emet, the price is much bigger for having made your wife suffer. Hashem should help us to be good. Let's go on a little bit.